Hello, welcome. I am here with Alexandra Boriceanu. I don't know
Yeah,
if I said that right, but
you
it
did.
was a damn good try. Welcome if you're watching us on LinkedIn, if you registered for the event. I'm really excited to be here with Alexandra. This is a start of a series of videos that I'm looking to do called Cooking Up Virtual Events, or it's a virtual event showcase. And to give you a little bit of context, I'm really here to talk about great online events, great virtual events, how they were produced, and I want to look behind the scenes because I know a lot of us are looking at how to produce great virtual events, how to figure out how to produce these great experiences. And I think we can all learn from each other. So that's really what I'm trying to do here. And that's why Alexandra, and thank you to Maggie for organizing this as well, who's also helping us produce this. Alexandra, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you all for watching and for inviting me as well.
You're
It's my
very
pleasure.
welcome. Excellent. I don't know how many people are online already, but if you're watching, just give a quick hello in the comments. I'd love to know where you're watching from. And throughout this whole stream, we're going to be bringing comments from people on the screen and adding comments from different people. So just let us know where you're watching from and give us a hello, wave. It's always nice when you're doing live video to just get a feeling of who's actually watching live. And like I said, please ask questions, give us your comments because we'd love to answer any questions, anything you are curious about. We want to go a little bit deeper. And we have already a first comment, and I'm just going to blow it on screen. Here he is. James Zeng. Excellent. James, thank you for joining us. I know you were texting Alexandra before. You made it. You're live at the event. Excellent. And we have Karen Stark watching from Malta. Amazing. Katrine Brems Olsen. Hello from Copenhagen. Hello, Katrine.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to see you. And we have Linda Nilsson from Finland. Excellent. Thank you for organizing this. No problem. I am as curious as you are about this
Hmm.
event, so it's great to have all these different people here. We have Bob Nelson from St. Louis, Missouri. Hi, Bob. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. And my good friend Sven Dalgaard from sunny Copenhagen. It is sunny here as well. I am in Denmark, not in Copenhagen, and it's really nice and sunny here too. So it's always a
Hmm.
shame to be inside, but hopefully I'll make this hour worthwhile for you. Alexandra Ferrini from A Sun in Florence. Hi, Alessandra. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Georgiana from Dubai. Nice to see you. It's been a long time. I haven't seen Georgiana for a really long time. It's nice to see you virtually. We have Mosh Muller from Haifa. This might be one of your colleagues, if I'm not mistaken. It
Might be.
looks familiar. It might be.
Yeah.
Marcela Torres from Mexico City. Hi, Marcela. Nice to see you. We have an anonymous LinkedIn user from France. I'm sorry, anonymous LinkedIn user, but we can't see your image. But if you
Hmm.
tell us your name, we will give you a shout out and let you know where you're watching from. Of course, we know that from France, but who you are is also very important. Milda, hello. Milda is watching from Amsterdam. And we have Diogo Castanheira from Lisbon, one of my colleagues from the Voking team. Hi, Diogo. Nice to see you. We have Catherine Garcia from the Netherlands. Ooh, I think the Netherlands are winning so far. They have a
Yeah.
few extra
Hey,
ones there.
that's true.
And we have Malin from Gothenburg, Sweden. Hi, Malin. Not too far away. Nice to see you. We have Ingrid. I know Ingrid. I believe Ingrid is in the Netherlands, unless she's traveling, but it's nice to see
Hmm.
you as well. Stephanie Castellanos from Berlin.
Brilliant.
Oh, and we have some more people. This question really gets people fired up. I hope you don't mind us taking a few minutes to just say hello, because I always think it's great to just recognize when people are watching live. Olivia Crawford from London. We have the one and only Super Greybeard, also known as Patrick Delaney from Dublin, Ireland. We have Selal from, I don't know where he says, it just says hello. Nice to see you,
Turkey,
Selal.
probably.
Turkey, and that would have been my guess, but it's always good to check. Peter Schmidt from Jacksonville, Florida. Hi, Peter. How are you? And we have David Benitez from Barcelona, also from Barcelona, and Andres Marino from Madrid. Oh, and Ari. Ari's here as well. Hi, Ari. Nice to see
Ah.
you. I think Ari's going to make another
Hmm.
appearance later on. If you spot him, let us know in the comments. That's always a lot of fun. We have Robert Nesbitt, also from Israel. Hi, Robert. Nice to see you. We have Tanya from Finland. We have a few more people from Finland. And also, we have Monica Burkle, Suomi, Finland. Very good. Couple more people. We have a hello from Madrid. Is Miguel one of your
Hmm.
colleagues? I see a
Yes,
smile.
it is. Yes,
Oh,
definitely.
excellent. Great to have your colleagues join us. We
Yeah.
have Baha from the Abu Dhabi Convention Bureau saying hello. Excellent. And we have Bernice from the Netherlands, another contingency from the Netherlands. We have Stephen Howard in Barcelona. Excellent. And last but not least, we have Tomasz Bojtan from Budapest. Excellent, from the Field Drive team. Wow, so many people already. We're already 6 minutes into the stream. Yes, great. And great that you're in the comments. We want to keep you engaged. We want to keep talking. And we have one last one here, Elena from, it says Pais. I guess that's her last name or the previous last name. Elena, excellent. Another colleague or just someone you know?
Not for now.
Not for now. We
might
will
know her later.
Exactly. And Kristen from the Aarhus Convention Bureau. Excellent. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. We hope that you're as active with your questions as well and with your comments. We really want to see those as much as possible. So, Alexandra, we've welcomed people. People are enjoying themselves. People are seeing that there's other people watching from other parts of the world, and that is excellent. But we're here to talk about a specific event, the Virtual Educa Connect 2020. So tell us a little bit about the event. I know we're going to show a video in a little while, but how did you get involved in this event? And what was your experience before we actually show a little bit of a preview?
Okay, sure. Well, firstly, I will just start talking about our client, which is Virtual Educa. It's an organization. They're based in Washington, D.C., dedicated to promoting innovation in education for social transformation and sustainable development. It was created in 2001 from the vision of having a more inclusive education, basically in the area of Latin America and the Caribbean. And the events organized by them since then became just like a reference throughout that part of the world. In 2018, we started our collaboration because we wanted to extend the reach of Virtual Educa. So together with the General Secretary at that time, Jose Maria Anton, and his team, we started developing the concept of a World Congress. Sadly, Jose Maria passed away due to COVID-19 in March, and the Virtual Educa team just put in all the efforts to continue his legacy. So together we created Virtual Educa Connect, in this case, based on the need of an event to address the issues raised by the pandemic in the education, obviously. The event's target audience in this case was the educational community from all over the world. Mostly they were educational leaders, teachers, human resource managers, innovation coordinators. So kind of this would be like the main target audience in this case. The Congress took place from the 21st to the 23rd of July. It had like a duration of 2 days and a half. And we had a very impressive agenda. It ended up having 200 sessions. They were live and pre-recorded, more than 300 speakers. And the sessions varied from keynote speakers to debates, roundtables, success cases, most of them. We also had like corporate presentations and workshops, which are much appreciated by the public in this case.
That's quite a story. I'm just bringing up on the screen what we're talking about. This is the website. It's still live, which I think is always good to have that reference. And what a sad story to start. I mean, somebody involved in the event passing away from COVID-19. But I think it's really impressive that the team kind of turned around and was like, let's do this. Let's make a really, really great event. I think that's sort of like a powerful message, right?
It definitely was. Definitely was, yes.
Excellent. So we really kind of lived on in that sense. Excellent. So big event, right? I mean, this is a pretty massive event. I think you shared on the statistics something like 84,000 people registered, right?
Yes, that's
and
true.
I'll actually just bring over the other screen with the let me just share another screen. But yeah, I mean, tell me a little bit about these crazy statistics. I mean, this is a big event.
It is a major community, and Virtual Educa had a lot of success in Latin America in the past, and this showed up with this online event. Obviously, we were preparing to have in July an in-person event in Lisbon, but due to the pandemic, we couldn't do it. So we were expecting the numbers to drop, but being digital, everybody wanted to attend this event. So it was a success in this sense, but we were expecting it, to be honest. So yeah, it was amazing to having that many people register and also attending. So yeah,
excellent. And a lot of social media interactions, a lot of live streams. And I know that you were streaming, was it YouTube and Facebook as well, right? So
yes,
there's a lot of...
Yeah, we had the live session being streamed to more platforms, not that just the tool we were using, because they had a lot of success in this case. People from Latin America, they wanted to see content and they connected everywhere. So social media is very important in this case.
So it's very much a kind of liberal event in terms of the content. You wanted to share. The important thing was to share as much content as you could and get as many people inspired and get that message across to as many people as possible, right?
Yes, correct.
Excellent.
Obviously.
That's a great place to start, I think, when it comes to an online event. Rather than being very exclusive, you want to kind of open up as much as possible. So let's have a quick look at the intro video. we won't be able to speak over the video, but I just wanted to show people this video. So give a bit of a introduction to what the event actually looked like. We'll be right back after this video. Great. So that was a little introduction to what the event looked like. And we saw a little bit of the lobby area and all that. That was actually live shots from what it would look like. That's how the participants joined the event in some cases.
Yeah.
And did everybody join there, or did they kind of just join on Facebook and YouTube and things? Or was it
most of the people registered to join there and just go through the platform, but there were many people watching from social media, in this case Facebook and YouTube. Virtual Educa has a lot of followers on these two accounts, so they wanted to take advantage of their situation and just have them connect and see the content. It was mostly just, sorry to interrupt, it was mostly just the live sessions in this case, because they were like, you had the keynotes, we had the ministries of education involved, so that was something of interest.
But why wouldn't? I mean, it's the perfect case for me. Working in social media and community management, having an active community on Facebook, that's the perfect situation, right? Mm-hmm. I think most people that work in events and are asked to promote events on social media usually face the opposite, right? It's like, there's no active community and you have to make an active community, and that is a massive uphill battle. So I absolutely agree. So, yes. I think everybody who's watching is involved with event production in some sense. So I really want to now start going behind the scenes and start getting into the details. And that's why I wanted to do a live interview with you. And we're going to be doing some more interviews with different people. I just wanted to give a shout out to a few people who've joined us since we gave the shout outs. We have Suzanne from Israel. We have Paula Blomster, who is in Finland, I believe. She didn't write it, but I know Paula quite well. And Jill is here from Texas. And we have somebody from Carrie Thiessen from Calgary in Canada. So this is now a really global event. We have people from Abu Dhabi to Canada to Madrid. We have Benedict Lusso from Brussels. And we have Maria, who just says, great team, heart. I believe she is a colleague. So I really wanted to go into this colleague side of things. And could you tell me a little bit about, how many people were involved, who was involved, what roles did they play? Because I always see that a lot of people want to go from a sort of normal live event to a virtual event, and they go straight to the technology. And I want to also understand all the processes and all the different things that you do in addition to that. Like, it's not just about the technology, and I don't want technology to be all of the discussion, and I'd like to talk about technology as well. But tell me a little bit about the production of the event, who was involved, how did that happen, and how did you organize everything?
Yeah. Well, basically, we had different parties involved, starting with the client's team, our Spanish office team that worked with this Congress in particular, and the IT team from Canas International. And in total, we were around 30 people, I would say. And out of which 10 people were part of the technical department. The rest of them were part of more the production, the organization of the event. And I must confess that I'm super proud that they are very dedicated people, because each one of them contributed more than 100% to make this project. And I must say this, it was a team effort from the beginning till the end. And that's one of the most important things we've learned together as a team. So we are the difference between organizing a virtual event is at some point you have the roles. Obviously, you have the project coordinator, you have the project managers, you have the people involved in the registration, the sponsorship, the program coordinator in this case, and everything that has to do. You would do the same as an in-person event, but obviously you get some challenges, and it's more difficult to do the process because you don't know exactly where you're going to. It's kind of discovering step by step what you should be doing. But basically,
so would you say that the processes are the same, but at least for the moment, the kind of end game, the result is a little bit more abstract?
It's not necessarily the result. I would just say that the process of the organization of the event, you still have to, confirm the speakers. You still have to do a program. You still have to obtain sponsorship. But with the virtual event, for example, obtaining sponsorship is not that easy because you're trying to sell a product that people don't actually know or understand as well as an in-person event. Because if you go to an in-person event, you're going to the exhibition, you're going to get a lot of networking. So selling sponsorship in this view of an online event, it's more difficult because you actually have to explain much more and show them how the exhibition might look, how their booth can be, people, how can they have calls with them, and the networking also how it's going to work. So I would just say that even though the processes are similar, you still have to think of different details, like in terms of time frame, deadlines. Also, you would say that having a virtual event, you don't have any deadlines. You can change anything in the last minute, but it's not true. So
No.
you still
But
have
are the
some.
deadlines in general more compressed?
Yes, they are. They are. Even though it depends on the situation, but yes, you have a certain flexibility to change until last minute. Even though, like for example, if a speaker doesn't show up or something like that, you can change the session to later on, and you can put something saying that an announcement saying that we're gonna do that session later on. Not ideal, but you can still do that.
But I mean, the
And
same thing could happen on site, right? You could have a
that's
speaker
true.
that misses a flight, and then you say, "Hey, they're going to be here anyway," but
Yeah.
we'll put that session a bit later on. So,
Yeah.
but I think what's interesting what you're saying is, it's challenging, kind of not necessarily having a full picture. But what you're saying is also it's not just your team, right? It's also from the sponsor team and from the client team.
Yeah.
They also are a little bit more in the dark in this case than they would be for a live event, right?
Yeah, we were actually learning together, and also with the team. For example, the client, we were trying to explain them the processes and limitations, and they were more set on an in-person event and trying to explain how this would work. Was they had to see it basically. They before just like it was difficult to explain step by step, but they had to see it. So
And so you think that now, next editions, if you do more online events like this,
mhm.
it'll be easier?
Yeah, definitely. Although, as in events, I would say none of the events we do are similar to one to another. So in this case, I don't expect the second virtual event to be the same as the first one, and the challenges are probably going to be different. But I do think that doing one, you just get the experience of how it is, and you know what to look for and what to improve, or
Yeah.
you know that kind of details.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So tell me a little bit about the challenges. We talked about the challenges being different, but could you be a bit more specific? Like, what are the actual challenges? What did you figure was kind of the toughest side?
Well, first of all, I would just say the short time frame because in our case, in the case of Virtual Connect, we had like less than 2 months to organize an event from scratch. Which most of the congresses that due to the pandemic switched to virtual, they had already, the program closed, the speakers, and everything was kind of confirmed. But it was not a case of Virtual Connect because we actually had like 2 months to do so. Also, working with the new tools that we didn't fully know. We've seen examples, we've seen some other congresses organized by our teams, but it was different to get to understand the platform, how it works, and the limitations you might have, and also the constant need to ask the IT team and discover, while you're limited by a deadline. Also, in terms of user experience, even though we analyzed how they, what they prefer, if we need to help them discover the platform and things like that, it was challenging to control the traffic of people, and knowing, if you wanted them to do more networking, you need to add a moderator to that. So it's interesting. You go day by day, discover something new. The
I'm
good
a
thing
big
is,
fan of that side of things. I think sessions with moderation make a big difference. And
yeah,
if you don't mind me saying, I think it's something that's often overlooked. Like we kind of like, oh, we have
yeah,
an online event, we put content online, people are engaged, people stick around.
hmm,
But I don't think that's necessarily true. A lot
yeah,
of times you get people that switch on. They're counted, they're online, but
yeah,
they're also doing their emails and doing like three other things at the same time. And then you're expecting engagement, and that's unlikely, right? I think it's
yeah.
it's very kind of different in that sense.
Yeah,
Good. Sorry, I interrupted you, and I'm
that's all right.
terrible at
I just
interrupting people, so I'll keep interrupting you. I'll apologize now and keep
that's
interrupting you. But
fine. No
I think it's
worries.
always great to just build on the conversations and what you're saying as well.
Sure.
What else were you talking about? Challenges.
I was just mentioning that we didn't have any major technical issues, which was absolutely great.
That's
Thanks
like
to the
big thumbs
IT
up there,
team.
right? I think
Yes,
everybody's a little bit afraid of
definitely.
that.
Yes,
Tell me a
definitely.
little bit about your IT
The
team. I
only
think was
thing
it
that happened, yeah, we had two teams working together. We had the IT team from our local office in Spain, and then the other one in Israel. So they were both dealing with, like, for example, the Spanish team was dealing with the recordings, with preparing the content for the platform and stuff like that. While the IT team in Israel, they were more in charge of creating actually the online tool and how the looks of and feels of the platform would be. So
okay?
it was great having them both work together, although obviously a challenge as well because there were many people involved, and it was interesting at the beginning,
Yeah.
finding out all the features and things like that. But it was a great experience.
But that's a really interesting. That's an interesting split. I think it sounds like something you normally wouldn't do for a live event necessarily, but
Hmm.
because you have like your AV team for your live event is
Yeah,
there, right? But in this case, you sort of have like two AV teams,
yeah,
not necessarily AV only, but dealing with the technical side, and they're kind of building on each other's work, right? So that's you
yeah.
suddenly become a kind of remote work team to a more of an
Yes,
extent than I think you would
yes,
normally do on a project like this, right? So
yes. Yeah,
interesting challenges. Yeah.
definitely, definitely was.
I know we're going to get into tools a little bit later, but we have one question from the audience, and I'm showing this because I'd love to get more questions from the audience. If you have questions, please put them in the comments, and we'll bring them up on the screen and address them. Just quickly, which platforms were you using for this event? This is
We
Monica's question.
Yeah, we were using the Canis International's platform that they were building with inside. So yeah, it was kind of their platform.
So you built your own platform for this.
It was based on a provider's platform, but they were working on it to make it better. So
Okay, so it was that you customized it and you built on top of it, and that's
mhm.
something that you then are able to offer to other clients as you kind of
Yes,
learn the platform and kind of do it that way.
definitely. Yes, we
Okay,
are
great.
actually doing it.
I can imagine. Always a good place to be. I just wanted to give a few shout outs before we get
Mhm.
into the next topic. Eli, nice to see you, Eli. It's been a long time. Ricardo, where are you watching us from? Are you in the UK? Are you in Colombia? You are a man of the world, so I'd love to hear where you're watching from. Darren, another one of our Finnish viewers. Thank you for watching, Darren. We have another anonymous LinkedIn user from the smoky central
Oh,
coast of California. I'm assuming that means that there's some fires going on. I'm sorry to hear that. It's always a bit of a shame. I'd love to know who you are because you're only showing up as LinkedIn user. It probably means we're not connected on LinkedIn, so it doesn't show up with your name. But if you just type your name in the comments, that would be great. And Nadia from Bulgaria, amazing. Katrin from Switzerland, nice to see you, Katrin. It's been a long time. And a few other comments. Well done, Kenneth's team, I think is
mhm.
always a nice comment there. Yes, well done. Oh,
Thank
we
you.
have another question. Excellent. I love getting questions. I know we have a plan to address a few, but let's jump into questions if you don't mind, Alexandra. We're going to hop in and
Yeah.
out. How did you keep such a large audience engaged with 84,000 attendees? Did you include any gamification with the platform? Interesting question.
Definitely is, yes. In this case, I would just say that the public was quite interested in the content. There was a need for them to get into the sessions and listen to speakers and have an insight on the situation right now because the current situation makes people be confused about different things. So it was the content firstly, it was very like a quality content and we liked it a lot. And we also, in terms of like moving people around the platform, going to the exhibition area, we did include some part of gamification. Even though it was small, we didn't think it was needed, but now we know it's needed, definitely needed. So we had a small content, like if you visit 5 booths, you get something, a prize. You get at the end of the day, we did the draw. So it was kind of trying to attract people moving towards the exhibition area in this case, because the sessions, there were always, people interacting and seeing them. So, yeah.
Interesting. So, so you feel that, kind of exploring that question a little bit further, you feel that
Hmm.
in this case, because the pandemic was still so fresh and so different, you didn't, well, you could have used gamification, but you didn't feel like you necessarily needed it because people were so hungry for the content. But you think it's going to change going forward? It's going to be more necessary to keep people engaged?
Yes, yes, definitely. And I also think that one of the challenges is to get people move through the platform, not just like stay in the program and seeing the program. As I mentioned, like going to the exhibition area, for example, I know that we're gonna do more gamification or attract people towards that area much more than we did in this edition. But
Mm-hmm.
also it was just a time frame that kept us limited in this point. But I know that for the future, definitely need to invest into doing gamification.
Yeah. I think we often assume that because it's there, it's live. People are going to explore it. Attendees are going to explore and find everything out. But it's not always that obvious, right? And I think for a lot of people, technology is a bit scary. They don't
Yeah.
necessarily want to explore. They just want to do their thing and then go, right? So
Yeah.
I think gamification can be an incredibly powerful way of introducing people to new experiences and showing them what else they can have there,
Yes.
right?
Yes, and
Excellent.
also you get like people are very used to webinars, so they kind of expect to be seeing another type of webinar. So giving them the chance to see something different at some point is confusing because they'll be like, oh, it should have been so simple. And at this point, we had actually a people like some people in the lobby saying, where to now? Because they didn't know where exactly to go forward. And also we had a live chat and they were just saying hello and what should we do first. So it's
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have live chat, but you have to tell people what you expect from them in the
yeah,
live chat, right? You can't just like, if you just have live chat, then people will do whatever they feel like it. I feel like the
yes.
webinar is a bit of a blessing and a curse at the same time, right? Because people are so much more comfortable with live events now, with online events now. I think in large part because of webinars. But
Yeah.
also, there's a sort of expectation that if it's a webinar, I'm just going to sort of participate and do some other stuff at the same time, and that's kind of what you expect in a webinar. And I think, if you'll allow me, I think that's what I'm trying to kind of break a little bit with these sessions. I'm trying to get people to ask questions and make them more engaging because I think that a lot is lost in the webinar format. It's great to have those, but then you kind of expect this kind of really stale type of session. And I think we can do way better than this. So I'm really
Yes.
excited to see these questions come in, and I'm glad you agreed. So Olivia has an important question. Did attendees pay for the event or was it free?
Yeah, I was about to get to that because due to the nature of Virtualica as an organization, this edition in particular was a free registration event. And there was this need to create a space for the teachers, the educational community to get together and discuss the actual situation. So this first event, it was special in this sense, but it was free for the community.
You said this first event, so you're planning to do it differently next time?
Kind of, because as I mentioned, we are planning on doing World Congress, and in July was about to be the first edition, so we moved it to November. And this was like an intermediate session, let's call it like that. That's why it was a different concept invented to take place due to the pandemic, basically.
Okay, so it's a bit of a special situation. But
Yeah.
let's, obviously it's free to attend, so great. I think a lot of you get a large audience, which I think is always welcome, especially for an organization that's really trying to spread the word on something. I think that's really important.
Yes.
But let's talk a little bit wider about the whole business model, because you mentioned sponsors, you mentioned exhibitors, speakers. Could you tell us a little bit more about the business model,
Yeah.
globally, like revenues? How did that all work?
Well, basically, the main revenue came from sponsorship, and the strategy was to focus on the virtual exhibition, trying to attract exhibitors. In this case, also the communication opportunities, including having corporate speakers in the program and branding options. Because in a digital, you can always easily sell a banner in the lobby, and that's one of the things we focused mostly on. It was the sponsorship, and also the corporate, but it was something kind of new for this organization. So we're still taking baby steps in that way. So
Okay. So the main source of income was the sponsorship.
mhm.
And are you, can you tell us a little bit about, did that cover the costs of the event? Was there a big portion that the kind of main client had to kind of pay for it themselves?
It covered a part of the of the incomes, let's say like that. We also had some ideas to get some more revenue in this case. It was like offering a post-congress access to the platform in this case, because during the live days, people get to see a maximum of sessions, a maximum number of hours. They can sit on a chair and looking at something. So offering them the possibility to get into the platform afterwards and see the contents, that was obviously a great way to obtain more revenue. And also we offered certificates that were customized, so that got us some revenue as well. The opportunities for companies to sell information to the participant, that as well. In terms of some of the sponsors, they wanted to offer information on the company, and we did that with through the mail blast and stuff like that. So that was the sponsorship, and also the fees we got from the participants in terms of obviously accesses to the platform afterwards, and the certificates.
What about the other side? So what about the kind of the expense side? Could you know, obviously this is a big production, lots of things happening. Kenneth has a great team involved, but could you just roughly kind of explain who else was involved? Who did you have to bring in? That there was like extra costs, and to get a picture of the whole business model or the whole business of the event.
Well, in this case, basically the main costs were the one assigned to the platform, the online tool. We also the registration platform. For having so many people involved, you need to have during the live days to have the platform support that many people connecting at the same time. So that was like paying an additional fee to that. We also had, in terms of external, some people doing the interpretation and translation service, which that gave us the opportunity of having like a multi-language congress, obviously. And that would say these were the main costs roughly, but it's like doing a virtual event is not expensive as doing an on-site one, because we actually compared the possibility of doing hybrid or similar, but obviously you don't have the speaker's fee. We try to minimize those. Obviously you get to pay at some point for a superstar, a keynote, and that's it basically.
Tell us a little bit about the translation bit, as you mentioned that now. How did that work? And was it a live translator somewhere else? How did that all work? Or
Yeah.
interpreter,
Well, we did.
I should say.
Yeah, interpreter. We did both actually. For the live session, we had interpreters we had 3 official languages: Spanish, English, and Portuguese. And we had a great team actually doing the translation. We were super happy with them, and they just connected to each session. They were assigned a position, and people could just like easily switch between the languages they wanted to hear the interpretation. We also did some subtitling for the pre-recorded videos, because obviously we had some speakers in Portuguese, some in English, some in Spanish. So we wanted to give the opportunity of having this content in different languages. So we did both, basically.
Yep, that was a question that actually came up here from Ingrid. Did you record everything or parts of the content to enable sharing the content later? Oh, a slightly different question. I misread that. If so, did you provide this via the website or the platform? So did you capture everything and then make it available?
Yes. It was actually one of the quality standards in this case, because at some point you would ask the speakers just to record themselves or send the videos. But in this case, it was just like making sure that the speakers, the video was working, the audio was working, that they were comfortable with talking about a certain subject. So we recorded every single video from the sessions, and then we made the content available through the platform, in some cases through the social media. And basically the people that registered got access to the content through the online tool.
And did you use pre-recorded content at all, or was everything live?
No, we used pre-recorded, yes. We had this part of, there were like 4 rooms with pre-recorded sessions, with the video being uploaded so people could scroll in and go depending on their day. They wanted to see with the contents they wanted to see the type of session also, because as I mentioned, we had dialogues, case studies, interviews, and commercial presentations. And also the live sessions, they were just like happening in the auditorium, and they were like more important session, let's call it like that. And yeah.
Interesting. Excellent. So a lot of different content happening, a lot of different formats.
Yes.
A lot of new speakers to the online speaking world, I would imagine. A lot of newbies.
Yes. And to be honest, I was surprised we did rehearsals for the live sessions. Yeah. And even though you would think everybody would be used to, going on Zoom or something like that, in the end, you'll be surprised to see that you do need to explain step by step what they need to do just to make sure that they are aware of that.
It never gets old, right? Like you've been working on a project for months, so you know every step, but you can't expect everybody else to know that, right? It sounds simple when you say it like that, but it's obviously not obvious. A question here from Bob Nelson. Did you have any audio video latency issues with the audience size, bandwidth, and also time zones? I think people being physically quite distant sometimes, right?
Yeah. Well, it was just one session happily. I would say that we only had issues with their audio because they were like in remote areas from Colombia. And it was the only session that I would say that went, a bit. It was challenging, and we are like telling the speakers through the private chat, just like try moving, try, speak louder, stuff like that. But it didn't work. But I think that was the only issue, and we had speakers from all over the world, and basically in terms of bandwidth and stuff, we didn't have any problems. And time
That's great.
zones, neither, because obviously we try to take into consideration that it might be 12 a.m. here, it might be 12 p.m. here, it might be 5 a.m. in California or something like that. So we didn't want it to have early calls.
Well, Jill actually asked a question about time zones. Did you have? Because I guess some sessions were very late for some people or very early for other people, right? Did you repeat sessions? Did you do anything to kind of appease the different time zones?
Well, basically, the live sessions after 2 hours, they were uploaded. We recorded them, so we uploaded them into the program. So people like, for example, Latin America, who woke up later on into the program, they will get to see the recorded sessions when they wake up, and then they can see the live sessions in the afternoon. But morning sessions were pre-recorded and uploaded into the program, and also the rest of the pre-recorded sessions from the other rooms, they were just you just have the content there, so it doesn't matter the hour you're connecting at. You're gonna see the content anyways. This
Yeah,
happens only with the live sessions, and you need to have have them video showed up later on for them.
great. So I just wanted to interrupt just to say, if you've just started watching, I'm here speaking with Alexandra Boriceanu from the Kenes Spain team, and we're talking about Virtual Educa Connect 2020, an event with more than 84,000 people registered for this event, a free online event that was prepared very, very quickly and was very successful. So we're just learning a little bit of behind the scenes with Alexandra and her team about how they put that together. If you have questions, please add them to the comments. We'd love to hear from you. I just want to also answer Monica's questions. He's asking about how we're producing this event. We're actually using a software called StreamYard. You can find that at streamyard.com. And we're feeding that straight into LinkedIn. So it's on LinkedIn Live, and then I'm sharing it in the LinkedIn event. So that's just a little quick behind the scenes of our own event to share as well, which I think is always useful. Peter is asking here about the platform. He says, it looks amazing. So congratulations to you and the Kenes team. Are you able to talk about pricing and max capabilities? Always a tricky question, but I think a very valid question here. Can you share with us what one would expect to pay to use this kind of platform, and what are the max capabilities?
To be honest, it's not that easy, and we ourselves, like the Kenes team, get the pricing from the Kenes International team, because it also depends on whether you have, the number of live sessions, the number of live Q&A at some point. If you have like pre-recorded and you want to add live Q&A, it's a different cost. If you have e-posters in the case of scientific congresses, the number of exhibitors, it's roughly quite difficult to give a number because it depends on the size of it, and also I wouldn't I can't actually give a number in this case. But obviously, if you need to know more details on that, I'm available to send an email and ask for it and stuff like that. So.
And what about the capacity? Let's if we can't get specific on the price, do you have any kind of capacities or anything?
Well, basically the maximum was like 10,000 people concurrent at the same time, and I think that was the best in this case. That's the best numbers I could get in this case. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting because we always think about technology as something that can just be easily expanded. You can just click a switch and then it just can accommodate anything, and it's not really the case, especially when you're doing something quite complex with multiple video feeds, etc. So it is quite a tricky question to get right. So I appreciate you at least partially answering that question. A couple of questions about exhibitor satisfaction. So Baha from Dubai, I believe, or Abu Dhabi, forgive me, talk about exhibitor satisfaction. Could you talk a little bit about how that worked? I know you said you were going to try to do things a little bit differently, but were they happy? And
yes, they in general they were happy, because obviously, as I'm mentioning, they didn't know exactly what to expect. So they were happy to be there, to have a booth, to get to upload all the information on the site, the attendance. But what we did understand from their feedback as well is that traffic is not that easy to control. And at some point they were expecting, 20,000 people to step by their booth, and they didn't show up or something like that. It's like, it's not something we can control and ask people to go step by that booth. You can always send a message, have an announcement or something like that, send, write on Twitter, or use social media to ask people to step by one of the booths. But in general, that I think that was the only issue they had in terms of attendance, because they might have expected more people to show by the booth and have more calls with them. But in general, like the entire experience, the view of the platform, the view of the virtual booth, the networking chat also was a good deal for them.
It's a good fit. Excellent. No, that's really, really interesting. I think one of the challenges that I always find with online events is that idea of understanding who's there, right? Understanding who's in which room. And some technology has a little display to see names or something like that, but it's very different from you walking into a physical trade show and seeing thousands of people and seeing that they're walking towards you or something like that. It's very hard to have a sort of virtual equivalent of that, right? And I think for sponsors, it's hard to kind of grasp that, right?
Yeah. Well, basically, you did have like on the right side of the screen, you had like the users that are online, so you could actually see who was online and start a conversation with them. So it was, I would just say that the traffic at the low moments and how to direct people towards their booth was the difficult things in this case. But it's easy to help out with, through gamification and other things.
We're working on it. So Shane, hi Shane, how are you? Has an interesting question, kind of developing on this a little bit. Beyond virtual booths, what innovative commercial opportunities were you able to implement, and how successful were they?
Well, I would say that the brand displays in the lobby, and also the newsletters that would send previous to the event, these were the most successful tools in this case. We didn't have like very impressive commercial opportunities, but we did take advantage of the digital, they're having an online tool that allows you to customize everything. So yeah, I would just say that the branding opportunities, being able to have a virtual briefcase, for example, and you can add information on from one of the sponsors, and that's helpful as well. Or have them sponsor the Twitter, or there was the Twitter wall and having them having their logo over there. So it was just taking advantage of the digital means we had inside the tool. So
Okay.
yeah.
And actually, building on from that, we have Catherine in California, who just shows up as LinkedIn user, but that's okay, Catherine. How many different technology providers did you use, and how many will you use moving forward in November? And I think if we can connect that also with the other, are there any kind of additional exhibitor benefits that you're looking at to kind of implement, or other technology that you're using going forward?
Yes, we had different tools. Obviously, the registration software, the conferencing system, the platform itself. There weren't as many, and we were pretty happy with all of them. To be honest, we will go forward with them for the November edition. And in terms of implementing different things for the exhibitors, I guess we're kind of like looking at other congresses as well. But as I mentioned, gamification, and also having a moderator in the networking area to actually, like putting announcement over this, or asking exhibitors to offer something, or doing a draw, or saying that they have a presentation of something in the end. Is like, if you have a product, it's more difficult in this sector, because actually don't have products to show, but they can also show a software or something different they're doing. So it's basically trying to attract people to go to their booth. So,
yeah, that virtual attraction, that goodie kind of, how do you get, there's no smell of bread or cookies that you can
that's
produce
the thing.
online, right?
That's the thing. You have the cocktails to, or the coffee
Exactly.
breaks, and
The
even though
cocktail
this,
hour.
yeah,
It's not as appealing, right? Like if you're home, I usually say that when you're creating an online event, like this one, I guess, an online experience, the event is a guest in people's houses and not the other way around. So it's very easy for some, like if you're promising, hey, let's go for a virtual cocktail. It's like, I don't know if I want to. I'm home, my children are home. I want to go and do other stuff now. So the idea of kind of sticking around and going for a cocktail doesn't quite sound as appealing when you're at your computer, right?
Yeah, we actually tried to do that. Like, it was the last day, and we tried to have a networking, I would say cocktail, let's call it that, a glass of wine at the end of the Congress, but you wouldn't get to measure, the people they're actually drinking a glass of wine and stuff like that. And also it was afternoon or morning in Latin America, and it was like, kind of,
Yeah.
but we're still learning from that. And I know that like from other goodness congresses that they were doing yoga classes and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I think, yeah, because you can watch from anywhere in the world, it's always hard to kind of predict what time zone exactly somebody is and what mood they're in, or
yeah.
if you prepare things. Quick question: how many exhibitors did you have? Asks Kate Etsby here.
We had around 30 exhibitors.
30 exhibitors, and they all had a virtual booth
Yeah.
to some
Yeah.
extent. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
they were like different categories, obviously, but they all had their type of booths, and they can add images, videos, and be kind of interactive in this sense.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about tools already, and I didn't want to make the whole conversation about tools, but they're obviously really important, right? Could you tell us a little bit about your kind of technology stack, the different tools that you used for the event? You talked a little bit about the kind of custom design tool that you used for the actual participation. What about the speakers? What about the communication? What else do you consider as being part of the tools involved in creating this event?
Well, obviously, the live conferencing system, which is necessary for the live sessions, and the program software. We are always working with this program software in terms of uploading the speakers and then communication in this case, and also the registration
Any
software.
specifics that you could mention? We'd love to know, what studio software you used, what registration you used. I mean, and if it's your own,
Yeah,
that's fine too. But we'd
no,
love to kind of understand
yeah,
the components, like how
yeah.
it
Well,
all
like
fits together.
for the program software, we're using CTI, and for the registration, we're using Eventair. They're very known in the events management world. So we were, pretty happy with them in both cases. Obviously, for Eventair having done many registrants, we had to call a lot of time the support team, but they were very useful, and it was a success in this case because we had to, as I mentioned, we had to buy an upgrade in order to attend that many people in just 3 days. So, but that worked perfectly fine.
And how did
Um,
the speakers stream in? Were they using Zoom, StreamYard?
yes,
Like, how did you
yeah.
capture the
Yes,
speakers?
we were using Zoom in this case for the live session, mostly because of the translation interpretation, because Zoom has a functionality in this
Yeah.
case. Not all tools have it, and it's not easy to do interpretation into other tools. So Zoom was the best solution in this case because of that, and also the number of users. Obviously, having 10,000 people concurrent is necessary to have a room that forced to that they meet all
Yeah.
together.
And
Yeah.
so just to understand, so a lot of people don't realize this, but Zoom is kind of like the studio software, right? So Zoom is
Hmm.
like the stage, if you will,
Yes.
for the physical equivalent,
Yeah.
and then the viewing place is somewhere different, right? So the viewing was CTI
In
in
the
this case,
Yes, basically
and then
CTA was just for
also
the program.
YouTube and Facebook were sort of
They were
alternative viewing places, if you will.
we were streaming from Zoom to YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah.
Basically, it was the same content but streaming from Zoom, and the Zoom window was incorporated into the platform on one side, doing the auditorium, and then to CTA.
Okay. And then the actual user experience, that was all within the platform, and you could
Yeah,
walk to the different rooms, etc. And
yeah,
for
that's
example,
good.
for the exhibitor, so if you wanted to speak to the exhibitor, that was within the platform, or did you go into a separate Zoom meeting or something like that?
No, that was within the platform. And within the platform, you could do calls and you can do video calls in some cases, and talk with them by chat. So that was a feature of the platform itself.
Okay. And did you kind of upsell that? So were certain exhibitors had the possibility to do video chat and certain ones didn't? How did that work?
No, well, the functionality is just like all together, so it's kind of difficult to differentiate between these. So most of them,
That,
all the exhibitors had the chance of like doing either voice calls or video calls. So,
and so some were better at it and others weren't so good at it. Yeah. That might be
yeah,
a good
yeah,
good feature to implement, to consider implementing for the
yeah. To
future if you
consider,
want to
yeah,
kind of an upsell kind of a video chat or not. Any
yeah.
other tools in terms of communication, emails, anything like that you think would be worth mentioning?
Well, basically for the emails, the massive, we use the marketing tool. We have internal, and then the event there for the registration process. Any communication that had to do with registration with the user, including the communication with the speakers, at some point we use Eventare.
Okay, interesting. And about always a very important question, and I don't know how much you can share, but in terms of the different tools talking to each other, you have data in the registration system, then you need to move the data in other places. Is that something you work on internally, or do you have other systems to kind of connect the dots for the data?
No, in this case, we did it internally because we didn't have much time. But I know that there are some steps that can be done if we have more time to connect these, like getting the registration directly into the platform or stuff like that. In this case, it was done manually, like having a CCF
Yeah.
and having uploading into the platform. So, but
No
the
shame
good
in
thing is
that,
like,
but
yeah, well, it
the
is what
more we
it
can
is at this
automate, the
point.
better, right? The quicker we
Yes,
can move.
yes.
Tell us a little bit about your company. We have one question from a LinkedIn user says, "What's the name of the events company again?" This is your chance to introduce your company and your team, Alexandra.
Well, the name of the company is Canis Group. We are a PCO, well known worldwide. The headquarters are based in Geneva, although the company is originally from Israel. And myself, I represent the Madrid office, a team in Spain, and we just organized this event with Virtual Educa, which was a client, and it was an education event.
Wow. So, okay, let me see if I can put this into context.
Sorry,
So, Kenis is a international
PCO.
company headquartered in Geneva,
Hmm.
originally from Israel. You're part of the Madrid team. Virtual Educa is based in the US, I think you said.
Yeah, Washington, D.C.
But the target audience is Latin America and Portugal and Spain.
Hmm.
So this is pretty much a global team event company setup right there.
Yes.
Like you're basically covering, at least sort of the Western world, you're covering everything almost.
Yeah, well, Penas is an international company, and we do like congresses all over the world. To be honest, through the different offices, and but we have offices all over the world, including Europe and Latin America, also
So
Asia.
nothing new here, right? This is
Yeah,
easy. Piece of cake.
yeah,
We just sorted out. Excellent.
yes,
So
kind
I
of.
got a couple more questions. We got 10 minutes. Please, if you have questions, please add them to the comments here on LinkedIn. We'd love to answer your questions rather than my questions, but I'll keep asking my questions because I am in the video, so I can do that. So we want to talk a little bit about measuring the success of the event. The registrations are obviously a great kind of number, but how did you measure and how did you kind of report to the client the success of the event?
Well, I would say the users' feedback and the entire feeling with both the platform and the content. The content was really good. So obviously, in a congress that is online, it's one of the most important things. So I would say that the user feedback, the comments we got, people just saying that that's a great platform, it did a great job, an excellent congress, which we was like kind of rewarding to see this and not having negative comments saying, it's like it took too long to watch that or the steps by step in the platform. So that was one of the things. And also, the aim of this congress was to bring together the educational community and analyze the issues posed by the situation and the pandemic and how it affected the education system around the world. So having people from Latin America, from Europe, from Africa, from Asia, from the US, it kind of helped getting a general view on the situation, and people had a lot of interest in knowing that what's happening outside my country. So basically, I would say that, except for the numbers, obviously, that speak by themselves. But I think the main aim was that to bring together the community, and we managed to do that.
Excellent. So the lively online community was happy and you could tell.
Yeah. Yes,
Excellent.
definitely,
Quick
definitely.
question here from Baha about the charging for content on demand. I believe the content on demand was free, but if you can confirm and available to everybody who registered.
Yes, they were available, but obviously by registering, and afterwards they could get access to the content later on, which was that in that case they had to pay a small fee. But during the live days, it was free for everybody that registered.
Interesting. And could I still register if I wanted to see the content?
At this point, not because obviously the platform has a certain duration. But we left it open until we saw that there was more interest in that. But we are
Interesting.
trying to create a new concept that's like a library where we get to
Okay.
upload the videos and have people get there because the most valuable thing in this is the content. So
Yeah.
there are still people that have interest in it. So we're trying to figure something out.
And a lot of like the main sessions, they're
Hmm.
available on YouTube and Facebook still, right?
Yes, they're still available. Yes.
Okay. So it's more the detailed content that is kind of more protected in a way.
Yeah,
Excellent.
the other 150 sessions.
Only that's it. 150 sessions, no problem. Yeah, yeah. I mean that's so much content. If each of those were an hour, that would take months to
Yeah.
realistically kind of view.
Well, we
So
were like more than 200 hours of content, so we can imagine.
excellent, excellent, good to hear. So I've got two questions coming up, and actually they line up perfectly with my final question, which was really
Hmm.
about What did you learn? What did you do? What would you do different next time? I'll bring them up on the screen because I think it's always fun to
Yeah.
see Delphina saying, hey, great talk. Is there any issue you experienced and would warn or take more attention next time? And Malin has a similar question. If you could go back and change only two things, what would that be? Two things. Excellent. So, tell us about what you would change if you could do it again, and issues that you experienced that you'd kind of warn other people about.
Yeah. Well, I would go into more detail in analyzing the behavior of the attendees. That's the thing, the traffic, how to improve that on one side. And as I mentioned, adding more interaction into the platform, because we expected, people to go in and be amazed by what they see, and they will move around, they'll be curious about things. And at some point, the first day, it's new to them, but the second 2 days afterwards, they kind of like, oh, I'm going to go and see this because I'm more interested in this session. So also, adding more interaction in the after the first day, adding more interaction into the platform in that case, and also as I mentioned, the need for a moderator for explaining better how the platform works, and creating even a video, like saying, doing a user friendly experience for the participants. And I don't know what else. It wasn't, to be honest, it was a great experience, and we learned a lot, and we are doing improvements in terms of that user experience. We learned that the live sessions are very demanded. Let's call it like that. They prefer seeing live sessions rather than recorded videos, even though the content is very good. So I would do these two things: add more live sessions, have more people interacting with each other, and probably taking care of the traffic. That kind of, I would say
So
that would sum
some
up. Yeah.
excellent, some great learnings there. And you have November in Lisbon, I believe,
Yep.
is kind of the next edition.
Yes.
So I actually want to,
Yeah.
before we end, I want to show a little video that also talks a little bit about how the event happened, and starts to introduce Lisbon. We're not going to watch the whole thing with Lisbon, but I just wanted to show you this last video, and then I'll come back for a final comment. Okay.
Okay.
Durante estos 3 días, docentes, autoridades educativas, académicos, empresas y autoridades gubernamentales construimos juntos el futuro de la educación mundial. El futuro de la educación depende de todos nosotros. Virtual Educa Connect es el comienzo de una nueva etapa. Los invitamos a continuar con lo aprendido en Lisboa, Portugal.
And I hate to cut it off because I'm from Lisbon originally, so that's my home city. But you're going to Lisbon in November.
We're trying to, although
Trying.
most
It's all a
probably
bit of
it's gonna be hybrid. So we're
yeah.
looking at that option for now.
Absolutely. So there'll definitely be some online content to this as well. Yeah. So it won't be virtual educa for the name is so virtual already, right? So
Well, actually, that's the name of the association. It's like Virtual Educa. So basically, it has to have a virtual part in it.
Excellent. But it hasn't always been virtual. Right?
Yeah.
It used to be always in
Yes.
person.
Yes.
Excellent. Thanks everybody for watching. We're almost coming up on the hour. So, we got one last question that maybe we can try and address. Would you say that you had a higher reach impact virtually than a physical conference?
That's a tough question.
$1 million question, right?
Yeah, kind of. Like, I do think that digitally and virtually we got to reach a lot more people, because if you do it virtually, then people don't have to travel. They're not worried about costs involved, and it's kind of effective for them in this case. So the interest was easier to count in this sense. I wouldn't say if it was more effective, not because we all like networking and meeting with people face to face. That's something that virtual meetings are not gonna happen. They're gonna take the Zoom meetings. We're all up here to the from the Zoom meetings, but an in-person event just has that part of networking that it can't be replaced in this case. So
yeah, we know we love the actual meeting people face to face.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so we have 1 minute to go. I wanted to ask anybody who's still watching, if you've survived the whole hour with us, we really appreciate it.
Yes.
I'd love to
Thank
hear
you.
what you got out of being here with us today. So, in a word or a quick sentence, I'd love you to add in the comments maybe one fact or one strategy, one tip that you heard that you're going to apply to your session. And hopefully that also helps everybody else who's watching now or who's going to be watching on demand later. Also, maybe watch the video further and get to that tip, or maybe discuss that with you, start some sort of networking so we can all learn from each other. If you heard something interesting, something that you agree with, or something that you learned new, please add it to the comments. We'd love to hear that from you. And with that, I'm going to say thank you, Alexandra. It's been an absolute pleasure. Again, Alexandra Boriceanu from Kenes Group, the Spain team. She's the one, and they are the ones that put on this amazing event. There's a great case study on the website, actually, as well. If you want to look about more detail on the Kenes Group website, there is a case study about this event. So if you want to learn more about what they do and how they did this, that's the place to go. So I'm seeing some comments. I'll just bring a couple of them on the screen because I love doing this. Go virtual, Karen Stark. All right, well, you heard it here first. And you have making a plan for our virtual traffic during our virtual event. Excellent comment, Kate. Thank you so much for sharing. I think that's really, really precise and really, really interesting. Yeah, making a plan for virtual traffic. You don't just set things up and expect traffic to happen, right? You need to plan, you need to tell people where they should go and what they should do, right? I think that's really important. Excellent. I have a whole page of notes, says Olivia Crawford. Thank you so much. If you want to share those, we're very, very helpful. Here's Bob's question, is Bob's comment as well. Pre-record, here's how to use the platform for attendees. It sounds like that particular tip really resonated. So I think that was something that we'll close with. Bob, thank you for sharing. Please keep sharing your tips that you found on the LinkedIn post. If you're watching this in the recording after, if you're not watching us live, add your comment as well. We'd love to hear what you took out of this session. So Alexandra, thank you so much. We'll end it there. And I wish you a lot of luck with Virtual Educa Connect 2020 Lisbon in November. Hopefully you can do it in person and virtually, and it can continue to be an excellent online experience and in-person experience.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye for now. See you later.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.